Washington Post, right?
Okay.
We know
They're
that.
turning the corner. Washington Post is starting to.
Well, not quite, but potentially. So here's this reads. So this comes by way of Fox News. Headline reads, WAPO boss sounds alarm over dwindling audience in heated staff meeting. Wait, quote, people are not reading your stuff. Let's not sugarcoat it. We are losing large amounts of money. William Lewis, the CEO and Post publisher, had those words for his staff. The article reads, Washington Post publisher and CEO William Lewis had a blunt message for his staff during a tense meeting following the sudden ouster of editor Sally Busby, according to the paper's own reporting. Lewis informed his staff Sunday night that Busby, who joined the Post in 2021, was parting ways with the paper effective immediately. He announced her temporary replacement would be former Wall Street Journal editor-in-chief Matt Murray, who is expected to hold the position through the 2024 election cycle, and that the paper was being restructured into 3 newsrooms in hopes of turning things around for the beleaguered Democracy Dies in Darkness publication. So context, he's coming in, he's trying to right the ship, so to speak, because it's not doing well. So just hold that. The Washington Post reported Monday that Busby was uncomfortable with the structure and did not believe she could be effective in the role offered to her in a new division of the company. She also reportedly had urged Lewis to hold off on implementing such changes until after the election. Lewis, the British media executive who joined the Post earlier this year, addressed the restructuring in a tense newsroom meeting Monday, where he offered a grim assessment of the current state of the paper in what he described as a heated exchange with a staffer. Lewis warned that the newsroom cannot afford to be resistant to change, saying that the decisive, urgent actions are needed for the company to survive upheaval within the media industry and a recent loss of subscribers and revenue. He's then quoted in saying, we are going to turn this thing around, but let's not sugarcoat it. It needs turning around. We are losing large amounts of money. Your audience has halved in recent years. People are not reading your stuff, right? I can't sugarcoat it anymore. Another staffer accused Lewis of choosing 2 of his buddies to run the Post, referring to Murray, who worked alongside Lewis at the Journal, and Robert Winnett, a former colleague from Lewis's stint at the Daily Telegraph. The most cynical interpretation that sorts it feels like you chose 2 of your buddies to come in and help run the Post, the staffer said. And now we have 4 white men running 3 newsrooms. So get the dynamics there. As Lewis alluded to, let's not forget who's his boss.
Right.
Jeff Bezos. The Washington Post had a rough few years, especially financially. The Jeff Bezos-owned paper lost more than $70 million in 2023 and lost 50% of its audience in the same period. In the final quarter of 2023, the Post implemented staff buyouts in order to prevent mass layoffs. Among those who took the buyouts were media reporter Paul Farhi, columnist Greg Sargent, and senior editor Mark Fisher, who recently returned as an editor. I'm going to move down just a little bit. Lewis's restructuring plan will involve dividing the paper staff into 3 newsrooms: the core, which is essentially the reporting team and opinion, and services social, meant to focus on audience building. Excuse me, I heard that wrong. The core, which is essentially its reporting team, opinion, and service social, which is meant to focus on actually growing their brand. By creating 3 strong journalism functions, core, service, social, and opinions, we are taking a definitive step away from the one-size-fits-all approach and moving towards meeting our audiences where they are, Lewis said. So pull that up, because you guys as entrepreneurs, you have to make adjustments. You have to change.
That's just good business.
It's just good business.
And he's understanding that the customer is rejecting the product. And so you don't just ride that off the edge of the cliff.
You cannot just do that. And then, but the underlying undertones of, the 4 white men running 3 newsrooms, and it's like,
it's the stuff that's always irrelevant.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what's being done here. It's just, those are the best people for the job. Let's get the job done. Those are the people that I know that are in my network that can come and facilitate this plan. I don't have time to go through a diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring round to find somebody who is already right here and capable of executing the plan. And actually, as a CEO, it's most comfortable to hire somebody who's known to you, who you've already worked with, and bring that person because you know what their work looks like. It's the same reason why we work together.
Right. So you think about 50% loss in audience.
That's massive.
Right. 50% loss in audience, 70 million in 2023. You're Lewis. What are you thinking about when you're looking at, okay, you got your 3 divisions. Do you have any idea of how you might begin to attack that being in this industry? It's a different industry. It's a difficult industry. It's a dying industry.
I think they just became so far one-sided that, just like we've been talking about on the whole podcast today, people grew tired of the willful ignorance to basically say, you can't actually believe this stuff that you're writing, because I don't believe it. And even though I align with you or have aligned with you historically, I just can't subscribe to this anymore. So I'm just going to go seek out my own information and go to more public forums where the information is less subjective and more objective. And so they're trying to get to a more objective news reporting, which I think is great, right? Hence why they're moving with more op-ed pieces. And they're doing a better job of trying to expand their brand on social networks. Because how do people mainly consume content? They consume it on podcasts, YouTube channels, Twitter, and social. They're not paying your stupid whatever dollar fee to get the news when I can just get it in a tweet rundown.
Correct. Roger that. Well, shout out to Lewis for trying. I think
it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Actually, I'm actually excited to watch it.
Yeah. And that 50% loss, that's a serious hit. That's telling you, I know you may not want to work with 3 or 4 white dudes, but here's the thing.
Well, once upon a time, we were part of an organization when COVID hit, serving the small business customer, and we lost about $1 million in recurring revenue in 30 days.
Yeah.
And you start making some changes pretty quick when that happens. Yeah. So to get to 50%, and now they're making the change, it must be pretty desperate measures. You'd think they'd be making the change kind of ahead of that. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be telling to see how they come out of it.
So we'll stay tuned to that. But
we've been talking about legacy media forever. I mean, it's why we do the show, right? Busy entrepreneurs don't have time to sit there and sift through all the junk, and especially if it's super subjective news, you're going to try to find somebody that aligns with your vibe, and you're going to listen to them to download the information on your behalf.
Yeah.
So
roger that.